the beauty of a newborn baby. Their faces are always so cute and they look so innocent. Who doesn't love to cuddle a newborn? Hello, everyone. I am Precious Making here, and you're welcome to this episode of Precious Inspires. Today, we'll be talking about maternal health, how women can have a better maternal health. And joining me today on the show is a very inspiring lady who is so much passionate about reproductive rights for women. Join me, welcome Ynanna Djehuty. Hello, Ynanna, and welcome to the show.
Hi, how are you?
I'm
I'm doing
good.
good, thank you for having me.
Thank you for wanting to come on Precious Inspires and share with us. I understand that you're so much passionate about reproductive health
Thank you for
justice. So, what inspired this passion?
I think it was a combination of knowing that I wanted to still do something in the medical profession, and when I was learning how to heal myself and learning more about my body, I wanted to help other women know more about their bodies too. So being a midwife and being passionate about reproductive justice is something that I've wanted and am passionate about because our women are not being taken care of in this world, especially in the healthcare system.
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, this is the first time I'm seeing someone as young as you who is studying midwifery. Back in my country, Cameroon, we always associate the term midwife to an elderly woman, you know, all grown up. And I mean, this is the first time I'm seeing someone this young who is a midwife. So you just started studying the art of midwifery in school. How has that been? What's it like? Getting a formal education on something you're passionate about.
It's been great. It's been challenging because I've learned how important it is to respect and be present for women. And what I mean by present is to really be there and really pay attention. It's been a lot of information. Like I've never knew how much information pregnancy and childbirth had, but it's also been the most inspiring thing I've ever done to be able to catch a baby and to take care of a woman throughout her pregnancy. So it's also made me really passionate about human rights because I see that almost everything that gets violated in this world is a human right. So I think that becoming a midwife has made me more vocal about being active and about solving the problems in the world.
Well, um, you mentioned catching a baby. What was it like when you caught the baby for the first time? Because the first time I ever saw a baby slip from a woman's genital, it was such an awesome experience for me. Then I cannot imagine what it could feel like if I had to be the one to catch that baby. So, what was it like for you catching a baby? I mean, receiving a human being into the world for the very first time.
I was so shocked. Like it I think it's the best way to put it. Like I was
Yeah.
just so shocked and so surprised and like oh my like it was undescribable. Like holding a new human being in your hands. What there are no words, but it was also feeling honored, that I was able to be in such an intimate moment of a woman's life and that I'm going to be part of her memory because women, you're never going to forget giving birth, you're not going to forget how you felt and who was there. So I was really happy to be able to also hold the space and make her feel safe and that she was able to give birth. It's just I don't know. It never gets old. I've caught maybe like a couple of babies at this point, and every single time it's like, oh my god, this is
Wow.
amazing.
I was going to ask how many babies you've caught, so you just took the words out of my mouth. Yeah. So you mentioned something about women's rights when it comes to reproductive health. And what are some of these rights that women have that have been so much violated? What are their reproductive rights that have been so much violated that women need to know?
Well, first and foremost, lack of access. We don't have the ability to tap into the resources because of poverty, because it's just not in our neighborhoods. Like I come from a urban community in New York, in the Bronx, and we don't have the same kind of hospitals that people who have money or have the means to have really nice hospitals and really great doctors have. Then you have the inherent racism. Like a lot of doctors don't realize that the way they speak to people of color and women of color is very demeaning. Furthermore, um, they are, how do I put it? There's not enough education. Like, so you have lack of access and lack of education. You don't have comprehensive sexual education for women in the schools. So you're sending women out into the world without knowing anything about their bodies. Um, there are different places in the country that have shut down Planned Parenthood, which has been one of the only resources that a lot of women who don't have money have been able to access. And there's just been, like, even politically in legislation, you have legislators who want to write laws about birth control and abortions and even pregnancy and like what women can and cannot do. So I think it's been a lot of political activism, no, political stifling and political action taken against women. Also, in the actual like gynecological offices, we're experiencing different levels of abuse. Like, even if you're not physically abusive, you can abuse a woman in an examination room, especially if she doesn't feel safe when you're doing a vaginal exam. So it's very subtle and it's been going on for a while, and we just have had to fight for the right to make our own decisions about our own bodies.
Mm. Yeah, about women of color, I'd like to know, is it just the way they are spoken to, or are there other ways that women of color are discriminated upon when it comes to reproductive health?
Um, it is definitely the way that we're spoken to in racism. I think it's also just racism can be spoken and it can also be institutionalized, right? It can just happen because nobody's paying attention or nobody thinks to wonder if what they're doing is affecting the community a certain way. So I think racism is at the root of it, and also classism, because women of color in the country, even though a lot of us do get educated, many of us are impoverished. And so once you live in an impoverished community, no one's going to really invest anything into the community aside from trying to get rid of the poor people so that more rich people can live in it. So it is, I think at the base of it is racism and it's money. And we tend to suffer more because we tend to be at the lower end of like the social class system.
Mhm.
Um,
Me? Yeah.
so yeah.
I must say I love the way you have an African touch to whatever you do. I mean, like from photos of you that I've seen, I see the Afro thing going on, and even right here today, you're putting on a hair piece that's really an African style. So yeah, I like that. Okay,
Thank you.
a lot of women are listening to us, and one thing a lot of women don't know is how they can care for themselves while pregnant. So, as someone who is so much into um, women's health and all that, what can women do in that pregnant condition? What can a woman do to make sure that she's healthy and her baby is healthy?
I think it's important. One of the most important things is your diet. Eating well, like eating all the vitamins and minerals that you need, making sure you're getting all your iron and your calcium, and generally having fruits and vegetables and eating more than you would normally eat when you weren't pregnant is one of the most important ways to take care of yourself. A lot of complications in pregnancy can be avoided by a great diet. So like that's like the number one thing. You have to eat well.
Yeah.
You also have to exercise, meaning like walking or anything like that, because when a woman is pregnant, they have more blood because they have more blood for the baby and more blood for themselves and more blood for the placenta. So walking helps that circulation, as well as drinking lots of water. So that's exercise, diet, and drinking lots of water. And also, like, being true to your feelings. Like, I think that pregnancy brings up a lot of emotions, the big time in a woman's life. So also making sure that their emotions and their mental health are taken care of by having a supportive community or having a midwife, having a partner that they can talk to about what's coming up for them. even a therapist if they feel like it. So I think it's a combination of both. But diet is so important, and I think diet can become a huge problem, especially in an impoverished community where like we have lack of resources. Again, like we don't get the best foods in low income communities. So I think that's also another big point to start fighting for and start making and being an activist around is like what kind of nutrition do we have for our women and like how important having good food is to the health of future generations.
Yep. And some women just give birth to children like year after year they have a child. Like every year they have a child. So, and to some people, family planning is not yet something that they really consider, especially maybe women of African descent, that I'm more used to. So, what would you have for women that are not yet into birth control? What can you tell them, that should they go for birth control or should they keep giving birth to kids that they do not have the time to care for and the resources to care for?
Well, I think that's a bit of a tricky subject, right? Because we've lost the ability to know how to do our own birth control. That's natural, you know, because one, our cycles aren't all the same, and some of us don't know how to pay attention to our cycles because of what we've been taught. So I think getting in touch with our bodies and knowing our cycle of like ovulating, and also knowing our cycle of like when we have our menstruation is a natural way to know when it's okay to have sex or not have sex. Additionally, like if you're breastfeeding consistently and exclusively breastfeeding is a way to also prevent becoming pregnant. Um, Also abstinence, and I know abstinence is like a far fetch for someone who doesn't want to use birth control, but I think that if you don't want to use any of the hormonal ways of of not becoming pregnant, like I don't, the hormones affect me. I don't like taking hormones myself, so I've had to make like decisions about, well, can I sleep with someone right now, and can I afford to be pregnant? And what other ways can I prevent from being pregnant? Being the use of herbs, the use of knowing my cycle. So I think that that's the first way that a woman who doesn't want to use chemical contraceptions can do it. Like the rhythm method, it's called. Like knowing when when you're ovulating in your cycle, knowing when you're supposed to bleed, breastfeeding consistently, and not breaking that up with formula. I think that's as much as I can offer at the moment for someone who
Yeah,
doesn't want to use that.
yeah, that's really good because I've spoken with quite a number of women about the chemical methods of birth control, and the effects are so negative that a lot of women don't even want to go there again. So it's also important when women learn the natural methods that they can apply for birth control. I'd like us to now drift our conversation to talk about the delivery itself. But before then, let me remind our viewers that you're watching Precious Inspires right here on Sylvia Global Media Network. And I'm speaking with Ynanna Djehuty, a student who is currently studying midwifery, and she's an advocate for women's rights. Okay, Nana, I'd like us to talk about the delivery itself. First of all, in the world in which we are, some women choose to go through an operation rather than have a natural birth. I'd like you to tell us if that is right. And if it isn't right, why isn't that right?
There are very little pregnancies that need to end in cesarean section. Like cesarean section is major surgery. Most women can give birth naturally vaginally. In this country, there has been lots of women who have been coerced or convinced to have cesarean sections, and that's a very violent way of giving birth if it's not medically indicated. Are there times where having a cesarean section is safe? Absolutely. You can never say never that you're not going to need an emergency situation to be handled a C-section. But I think that it's out of convenience, it's out of money. Like I said, it's major surgery, so these doctors are making a lot of money having women have C-sections, and I think we've just generally become out of touch with the natural way that our bodies are supposed to function during this time in our life.
Yeah, yeah. What you said about C-section giving a lot of money to the doctors. That's something that I witnessed even back in Cameroon. You find a lot of hospital authorities forcing women to have C-sections, not really like forcing, but deceiving them, telling them that for some reason they cannot give birth vaginally. So, how can a woman be sure that she really needs a C-section? Because some women are so ignorant that they just believe everything the doctor says. But some women, I've also heard stories of women that have been told to go for a C-section and they said no, and in the end they gave birth naturally. So what can a woman do to equip herself so that she can tell if she really needs a C-section or not?
I think what the most I can say to that is that she has to listen to herself. Like every woman knows intuitively, deep down inside, where she should give birth. And so I think that it's really like the birth is really about a woman knowing herself, really knowing
Yeah.
like what she needs in that moment. So that for I can't answer that question for any woman. I can't tell her yes you need a C-section or no you need a C-section. If I'm in a birth where I see that there are different like um, indicators that it might be best for her to be in a hospital, I can do that. But in terms of like recommending a C-section, I don't think that I could do it. I think it would be up to her, and that we would have to make the decision together.
Yep. Okay. That's important because every situation is unique. So there's not like a definite solution to that. Now, how long are your studies going to take?
Well, the particular program that I'm in, I graduate in September, and then I have to continue to study more because like a year is not enough. I think I'm just kind of getting the foundational base like knowledge, and I need to practice and study like for another like 2 or 3 years before I feel comfortable being like having a primary role by myself in a birth. Well, not by myself because I would never practice by myself. I want to practice with a team always.
Okay. So, are you looking forward to a future of being a midwife professionally, that alone, and nothing else? What do you see? How do you see yourself in the future?
I think that I'm gonna do a little bit of everything. Like I think I still will probably write. I don't know if I'm gonna have as much time to write when I become more deeper into my midwifery practice. I would like to graduate and go back home. And if I can't work as a midwife right away while I'm establishing myself again, I would like to do sexual education. I would still like to do doula work, which is just being in the room and supporting a woman in pregnancy. I would like to do maybe child care, anything around related to helping women or teaching young women. So I want to still stay in like the the topic, even if
Yeah.
I'm not always being a midwife. I think that I'll always be a midwife and I'll always practice, but I'm also very passionate about changing policy and changing our access to resources. So that's what I would really like to also work on as well. So a little bit of everything. I think right now I'm just trying to figure out where to work once I graduate.
Okay. And so far, what challenges have you encountered?
Um, hmm. I think the biggest challenge for me is being away from my family and friends. And also, as a woman of color, I just like we don't have the same opportunities financially to be able to have funds for our education. So trying to figure out how to pay for my education has always been a challenge. Um, and just the how intense it is. It can be very overwhelming to be a midwife. So I think that that's been a little bit of a challenge as well.
Okay. And right now, I'd like you to tell the women, something that I know that as a person, I read your post on World Pulse and everything. I know you have a lot of messages for women out there. So, but when it comes to maternal health, what's that burning thing in your heart that you want the women to know?
Trust yourself. Trust yourself and take care of yourself. Like you and understand that we are such an important part of the world. The fact that we can give birth and bring life into the world makes our presence in the world incredibly important. And I think that Every woman deserves to have the kind of birth that she wants, kind
Yep.
of birth where she feels respected, the kind of care for her body that she feels the most respected. So that's what I really want women to know. Like, trust yourself and, do what feels good for you.
Okay. Do you have kids?
No, not yet.
But you look forward to having like how many?
I don't even know. I want to have kids someday. I don't know when. I always get asked this question. That's why I'm laughing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I want to be a mom. I do, but I also want to have them, whenever it's time for me to be a mom.
Yeah. Last time I was like, on one of your posts, I commented and I said, someday when I'm to give birth again, if I'm to give birth again, I'd like to have you by me because I mean I admire the passion with which
Mm-hmm.
you go about this um, maternal health thing. It's not just like a career that you've chosen, but it's something that you're so much passionate about, and I really really admire that. So
Oh, but are you in Cameroon?
I'm in the United States. I just
Oh,
moved in with my family, so
oh, where are you in the United States?
I'm in Minnesota.
Oh, okay, great. Well,
Yeah.
maybe we could. I don't know. I would love to. I would love to travel and help people that really want me to be there for them. That would be awesome. But I have to figure out how to do that first. But that would be great. I have so many friends that are like, I'm waiting for you to get to finish so that you can catch my baby.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Will you encourage other young girls to study midwifery like you're doing?
I would love to. I think that that would definitely be part of it. I have in the past encouraged women and supported women in becoming doulas. And I think we do need more midwives, especially midwives of color. It's different to be taken care of by someone that looks like you. It definitely makes a humongous
Yeah,
difference.
yeah. Okay, right now, just I know you need funds for your study, and you've been soliciting for funds using the internet and all that. We don't know who is watching, and one never knows. Help could come from any direction. So just go ahead and and say the things you've been writing about your funds for your studies and everything.
Well, I've been fundraising on this website called GoFundMe.com. What I'm raising money for is for my tuition at school and for my expenses because I'm not able to work because I have to be in pretty much at the clinic and at school almost every day. I work 24-hour shifts and then sleep and study when I can. So the reason that I want to be a midwife is so that I can help the number of midwives in in this world go up. Because we are in need of midwives to help women have the births that they want. So if you go on my website or you go on my page, Ynanna Djehuty, you can find my post. I'm always fundraising. No amount is too small. Every little bit helps.
Okay, so viewers, you've heard that. Go ahead and support a woman that is so passionate about helping others and bringing change. Thank you so much, Inanna, for your
Thank you.
time.
Thank you for having me on your show.
And one important thing I've picked is that women should know their bodies. That's very important. We shouldn't be strangers to our own bodies. So I hope the women out there pick this message and practice it.
Thank you. Me too.
Yeah. If you would like to know more about Inanna, you can email her at thesewatersrundeep@gmail.com. That's thesewatersrundeep@gmail.com. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you once again, Inanna, for coming on the show. Thank you, Sylvia Global Media Network, for this awesome opportunity. And thank you so much, my lovely viewers. Until next time, it's bye bye.
Bye.